Hey, what's up, Cosmetic family?
Welcome to the Cosmetic Podcast.
How about YMCA Metropolitan Dallas?
Cosmetic means being a person or thing that gives rise to a phenomenon that is dynamic or energizing.
We're tackling topics and telling the truth.
I'm Rodrigo Ross.
And I am Ethan.
So today,
yes,
I am so the excellence that is among us today. Excited. This is another installment of the YUSA Innovation Series. I will tell you that partnering with them has been amazing. You guys send us some incredible folks. And today is no different. Today we are talking about mental health and my generation, Gen Z. Mental health and Gen Z, that I'm claiming it's my generation. But we're featuring Seth Foster, Kaylee Prewitt, and the one and only Karen Friedman with YMCA USA. Family, welcome to the Cosmetic Podcast.
I apologize in the front, y'all. We normally don't. We tackle topics and we tell the truth. That's what we say.
I am a part of Gen Z. I don't care. I mean,
well, you know what? Yes, you're a part because you.
What's the age range for Gen Z? I mean, I'm asking for a friend, not for me, because I know, because I'm part of Gen Z.
Gen Zers?
What's the age range for Gen Z?
You got to be born well after what the year that you were born, I think. I'm just saying. Hey, look, let's talk about mental health, guys. You guys have been deep into this with YMCA, not only in your local communities, but across the country as well. And we have this whole model, this mental health community care model that you guys have been practicing. And right now, mental health is a hot topic. I mean, everybody's talking about it.
As it should be, right?
I tell you, my reference points was at the height of the pandemic, when Michelle Obama came out with her podcast. I listened to one of them, and she said, this low-grade depression. And man, that thing, it still resonates with me today because, for the most part, I'm good. But, there's some times that, man, I just feel down in the valley just a little bit. And, that stretch, it may be a day or two, could even go on a week, but, I know I have hit that point.
Yeah.
And so everybody experiences mental health in some different facets, some on an extreme level and some, again, on maybe a lower level. But what have you guys been experiencing with this project that you been involved in? Karen, why don't you kick us off?
Thank you, and so excited to be here. Yeah, I'll just jump into our, the community care model real quick, because I want to hear from Seth and Kaylee, because they are just awesome leaders in this space. But, we've been talking about mental health is how we think, feel, and act, right? We all have mental health. Keith, kind of like you were saying, right? During the pandemic, I think a lot of us realized that maybe had it before. And would love to hear from Kaylee and Seth around, I think there is a generational difference in how we talk about mental health.
Absolutely.
The community care model is really just saying, if we all have mental health, we all have a role in supporting mental health.
Yeah.
And that includes the why. Sometimes we think supporting mental health either just means providing some clinical help or maybe just going to a therapist. It's critical in those pieces, but there's so much more that we can do to help support one another in community around mental health. So that's kind of what we're talking about, what we've been talking about with the community care model, but I really think Seth and Kaylee bring that to light every day in what they're doing. So love to hear from them.
Love it. Okay, well, jump right in, Seth. Talk to us about Gen Z and mental health.
So I would kind of say, it's always been here, right? It's always been a thing. And it is it's a reality. So you need to make it relevant, right? And so I think now with this pandemic and with other things that have happened in society, I think we finally made it a point to make it a priority in the community, a priority in the society. And so now as such, we're trying to get some things going, some programs, some initiatives within the community to make sure that we can support mental health. And my role in the Y, being a regional youth development director, I serve ages 2 to 18 years old. And so I have a diverse group of people that I get to serve, and children and students and peers. And so it is great to be able to just work with them on what they're going through.
Yeah.
Get to understand what's happening. So seeking understanding.
Yeah.
And really trying to have those conversations to figure out how we can bring action versus awareness. So I understand that we're aware of what's going on, but I want to make sure that we can bring some action behind it. So that is where we're at right now.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Kaylee, talk to us, your lens, mental health and gender.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm currently a freshman in college at Indiana State University in Terre Haute. So I kind of have a different perspective, less workplace, more educational. I mean, as you all know, like no matter where you are, mental health is going to heavily impact all communities.
Absolutely.
And like has an exception. My personal involvement started when I and my friend started a club at my high school called Bring Change to Mind. We hosted weekly meetings for students to come together in a safe space to discuss their struggles, learn more about others, and practice mindfulness while making impacts outside of our school. At one point in the school year, we had 85 students involved in the program. Wow. However, like finding a solid curriculum that we could use to foster healthy discussions was really difficult. Recognizing this need, my friend Shree and I, who is currently a senior at Plainfield High School, which is where I'm from, we created a proposal for the Reality Project, an accessible mental health curriculum designed for easy implementation in high schools and Ys across the country. There are other programs with similar missions to ours, but we believe that the Reality Project is fundamentally different because it's created students and for students. So we're actively working on this with YUSA. Last summer, we presented in Washington, D.C. at the Y Changemakers Conference. And then through later discussions, we decided to partner with the Y and make the project happen. So we're designed to be student-led, and we're really just working on that and seeing the implementation in the community and how we can effectively create a plan that's going to work well for our community. But I really
love it. I'll tell you, you sound like you're on fire, Kayla.
You know, and this whole idea of, you know, young people, Gen Z, and even other generations, they know what they need, right? They just need our help and our support in implementing and doing it, not being prescriptive, like we know it all and our lived experience is their lived experience. Because I will tell you, Gen Z, they done been through some things, a pandemic, all kinds of school stuff, like all of the violence that happens in schools. They've gone through civil unrest. Like in the short amount of time that they've lived, they've gone through a lot more than other folks and other generations, right? Because we had some calm periods but just creating that space and allowing them to create what they need for the world, like Dr. Tasha Johnson says, for the world that they live in, not the world that we grew up in, right? It's amazing. I will tell you, my 6-year-old niece, who I love her to death because she's like a mini me. And so that's my bestest friend, my little broke best friend. One day we had this whole Saturday planning. We were gonna go here, go there, go here, go there. We're gonna get all these things. And at about 2:00, she was like, Auntie, I am overwhelmed and you are making me anxious. First of all, little 6-year-old girl, we know about overwhelmed and anxious. It would have never even crossed my mind to say those words at 6.
Right.
I was so excited. I was like, you know what? Absolutely. Young people see mental health and are way more in tune about what they're experiencing and how they're experiencing the world. And they are unafraid to say it. And so after that, we went to the house and sat down because I was overwhelming her and she was feeling anxious. So tell us about, because this generation seems to be way more in tune and way more flexible about talking about what most consider to be taboo, right? Talk to us about the things that you all do for each other to hold each other in these mental health spaces unapologetically, because we all know, like Karen said, everyone has mental health. Seth, tell us what you and some of your friends do to kind of make that happen.
Well, first, for me, relationships are important. So the first thing for me is that I tell people all the time, and the word with word ship in it is what to get you from one place to the next. So my friendships, my relationships, as they might be rocky as we board this ship and we might go through some things, when we talk about mental health, we're going to be there for each other. So I think building that community where we hold each other accountable, we make each other aware of what's going on, is very important to me. Making sure that you create the space and place to express your feelings and to be transparent.
I love
Transparency is transformational. So you need to create that space to do that, and trust is also important.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
So if there's no trust to be able to have that with your peers, your friends, your colleagues, it'll be very difficult to be able to talk about this topic. So that's
Yeah,
some of the things that I do.
I
And
love it.
that's
Transparency, right. I love and trust.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Kaylee,
Absolutely.
I was hearing you freshman in college, and I recall talking to a dean of students once, and he talked about this thing that around mental health and how a lot of young people are not dealing with it early on. Families ignore it early on, but then when they come to college, a lot of things are exposed because now they're out on their own. They don't have anybody to fall back onto, especially in those earlier days, as a freshman. And then, things happen. How do you, with the curriculum that you develop, how are you doing that now in the college space? I mean, incredible work, man. We talking about 85 kids in a club.
Yes.
Like that's powerful.
Yes.
That's powerful. How does that work continue in the space that you're in now at Indiana? And sidebar, is that Indiana the Hoosiers or is that a different one? Because
Indiana State, the Sycamores. So we blew blue here.
Okay. But by the way, I mean, could you give me a Hoosiers ticket if that was?
Shit, that's not her school. Like,
Oh, and it's in Indiana. I thought that.
so she knows everybody in the whole state.
I mean, I just thought. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
good
Kaylee.
Lord.
Kaylee, tell us about your freshman and your college experience now, and the peers that you have there as you guys talk about and deal with mental health.
Yeah, so I came to college. I knew some people on campus. I'm only about an hour and a half away from home. So I knew some people, but it wasn't the community that I was used to having at home with my close friend group, my family. And it was a weird transition for me to have to get to know new people and really dig in on a different situation. I mean, I'm living by myself with all these new people I don't know in a different environment. It was a very weird adaptation, but I was able to find community, and there's so much strength in community. And once you find your people and you can really dig in there and rely on one another, you can grow and build with each other and continue to foster those healthy relationships. And I believe that healthy relationships are the key to healthy mental health.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
Sure.
Karen, so this mental health community care model. So, both of us haven't been in a while for so long. We love a good template model. We can't do nothing unless somebody gives us the model for it, right?
Link.
Create the wheel. So when you're talking about this mental health community care model, what are we hoping that YMCAs use this model for?
Right. We hope that WISE will see what their role is and the work they're already doing to support mental health in their community. Right. We know WISE are doing some work, and I love, Seth, you talked about action, right? What are the knowledge, skills, and behaviors that WISE can ensure that they're supporting, training, doing with intentionality in their community, whether that's with, community, whether that's with members, participants, as well as staff. How do we create these cultures that support mental health? Because, Kaylee, and I saw Seth shaking your head, right? Like when you're into a new situation, whether that's new at school, new at work, new at a new cohort with the Y, right? We do lots of things that bring different people together. How do we work to intentionally build places where we can build trust, build those relationships that we know are so important? So really, it's just a model for WISE to begin to identify what are the knowledge, skills, behaviors we need to ensure we're bringing with intentionality, and how do we understand? I think we have a common understanding, but where's the learning around what trauma has impacted our community, and what can the Y do to help support that, especially for our youth? We all know we have mental health, but we know, as we were saying, that our youth have been through a lot. How can we be there for them? How do we show up for them?
Yeah. I couldn't imagine as a little kid not going to school for a year. Right? Like I wouldn't. As an adult, I struggle with that. Kids, and young people.
Because when you think about that, it's like everybody's pattern was to go to school.
Like that's what
like 99.9% of probably people on this earth, probably went through school, and now all of a sudden, you had to stop.
And like friends and social activities. I can't even go see my cousin.
Right. And then
it's hard to rationalize as an adult, but during those formative years,
Right.
either as a kid or even in your teens or young adults, when so much of who you are is really shaped by those integral. I just for my own kids, right? Like I understand my oldest son, right in the middle of the pandemic, he was a senior in high school. So his whole senior year got obliterated. No prom, no graduation. And I mean, throughout the course of, his little kid education, he's looking forward to that. Now, I was kind of glad it didn't happen. I hope he ain't listening, because that's the expensive kid. He got real Burberry tastes on a butt, and hey, so I was kind of glad it didn't happen, because that saved me some money. But I do understand how, and I can see the remnants of that today. Like, I know that there is some the level of remorse or regret for not having those experiences like his other cousins and the kids behind him. He doesn't have that lived experience.
So Seth, if you had to paint this, I mean, you had this magic wand, like what would you say to organizations like the Y or other organizations as to like, hey, let's stop doing this to focus in on mental health? Like what would your wand do? Like voila.
Like what?
Voila.
Please don't use your wand like that, Seth. Let's just get that out.
I won't do that.
Get my wand.
So Key, that I want to make sure I heard you correctly. Are you asking what organizations should stop doing to focus in on mental health?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yes, I love this question. So I would say my main thing when I think about mental health and what community, what organizations can stop doing, for me, making assumptions.
Come on,
that's what it is for me.
Yeah.
That's what it is for me, because I would say I have an 8-year-old and a before and after school program that has been through e-learning in the Y as we were doing e-learning and making sure that we were being those coaches for them and working with them while they were virtual. And now he's came out of this pandemic and he's going through a lot. And the assumption is he's young. He doesn't know what's going on. My staff member that is 16 years old that didn't have prom is going through so much when I do camp prom, because we have camp prom here where I do camp prom for the campers. And she's like bawling, crying. You're like, what's going on? It's because she didn't have that experience.
Yeah.
So I would say for me, stop making assumptions. Ask the questions to gain access to knowledge. So let's ask the questions and stop making assumptions.
Yeah.
You say ask the question, and what came after that? And
to stop making assumptions, to gain the knowledge.
Yeah, ask the question to gain the knowledge.
So you ask questions to gain access to knowledge.
Yeah.
You cannot gain access without knowledge.
That's a t-shirt right there. You better trademark it, because I'll make a couple of dollars off of it.
Don't do that. Don't do that to me.
That's a t-shirt. Ask the questions to get access to knowledge. Well, unfortunately, and I don't think it's malicious in intent most of the time. I think it's because we have the blessing and sometimes the burden of working in an organization that's been around for so long. Sometimes we move like been there, done that. We know what to do. And we kind of skip the step of asking the question. And you're right, Seth. I agree. We need to stop doing it. Like,
ask the question to
because this is not quite like anything we've ever been through before. Ask the question to access the knowledge.
And I want to just add one more thing. One more thing to that for me is perspective. So perspective is the angle and the perception is the analysis. So I think for us, we also I've been with the Y now. I'm a Y baby, so I've been with the Y now working for a decade next year. And so when you're doing it so much, right?
Yeah.
You got to stop and look at different perspectives, because you can't see where I see sometimes because you don't sit where I sit. So you got to be able to sit down for a minute and try to see what the Gen Z is saying, what the other, our younger children are saying, so that we can gather more information to then be able to support them in this movement.
Yeah.
And so Kaylee, you at the starting point of life, right? As this freshman. So from your lens, what should people start doing? What should organizations start doing to recognize this mental health?
That's a good one.
I really just think it's checking in with each other and making sure you're facilitating community, you're creating healthy relationships with your peers, with your coworkers, with your bosses. And honestly, from that, like, I serve as a building supervisor at my local Y. And I think really creating those bonds just with everybody that I'm working with. And hey, if you, do you need to step out for a minute? I can cover you for a second. And just giving them not only the space to speak, but the space just maybe take a step back. And I would love to see that not only in the Y or in schools, but just everywhere, where we're not only being there physically, but we're there through our spirit, through our mind, and just once again, just loving others well really goes a long way.
I love that. Just recognizing the human value.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And everyone that you come across, because you want people to recognize yours.
right.
Right. I love that.
I mean, that's
Kaylee.
something very simple. Like we just be kind to one another.
What a kind you say that simple. Do you do that?
You see the one that's being the aggressive of the two. Just be kind to one another.
Be kind to one another. Oh, Keith, you're so excellent.
So Karen, we have this model here, but what are the resources? So different people are listening to this. Mental health is on the forefront of a lot of people's mind. What are the resources out there that Y staffers can go towards to just help them in the space? Because some associations are moving very fast. I mean, the Dallas, we've committed $1 million to this process right here.
Yeah.
We have one of our executive leaders with that attention to be able to carry out that. But what are the resources that people can tap into so that they can get started?
Yeah, great. We have a lot of resources available on Link. Woohoo. Go to Link, type in mental health. We have the community care model as a visual, but we also have what we call our mental health go kits that are, 3 to 5 minute videos that have lessons along with them. So you can begin bringing this conversation to your staff teams, to your teen centers. We talk about, self-care. What is that? How can we do that? How do we bring that to practice? But also suicide awareness. What we heard loud and clear was, we need training and support around mental health, but we also need it in bite-sized pieces that we can ensure that our frontline staff have access to and can utilize quickly. And Kaylee, I even think a lot of these are available now. We're utilizing QR codes so people can, quickly scan them. And a lot of the work that Kaylee's done with her group, we're working together because that was their idea. They said, why aren't you doing it this way? Make this more accessible. That's what we're hearing so much. So a lot of resources, they'll continue to come out, but check out our Go Kits. There are really some great, easy, accessible resources that can be utilized right away to continue this conversation, everywhere, all across the Y.
Yeah.
And so Kaylee, we get a lot of young folks that's listening to it from a college campus perspective. What is it on college campuses that, our young people can go to and maybe seek out different resources?
Yeah, so for me, my campus has a lot of we call it student health promotion, where we have not only just resources like pamphlets you can pick up, but we also have an on-campus counseling center, which is super helpful, super great. There are grad students who are providing care for free or very close to free for all students. And then we also just see our Student Government Association does a lot of de-stress events. We call them De-Stress Fest. And it's just a bunch of various things on campus going on where students can not only support each other, but get involved on campus. And I love it. It's something I'm very passionate about. Super, very
Can
thankful.
you talk a little bit, what is a De-Stress Fest?
Yeah, so De-Stress Fest has a bunch of various, I already said various different events. I don't know why I said that again, but we've petting zoos, we've had just simple crafts on campus. We've had yoga events, just whatever they're feeling like doing that week, they've got it going on. You name it, it's there. It's so great.
Love that.
So will you have goats up there? So you do goat yoga and the petting? Does that combination?
What do you know about goat yoga?
That's a real thing, don't you know?
You saw that somewhere because you did not do goat yoga.
Well, I'm not a goat yoga type of guy, but I am a yoga guy. But you know what? I'm liking that. I might have to borrow that idea, but having a week where we just maybe focus in on that
every
right
day
there.
you do a de-stress. I love that petting zoo idea. Oh, that's amazing. Did you see that, Seth?
Keith, come on now, Keith. You make it.
All right, my bad. I was trying to high five.
Oh, whatever. Get out of here. Like I'm a fuzzy chick or something. Whatever. Seth, as a Y staffer who is Gen Z and also works with young people, what are the cheat codes that you want leaders and colleagues across the movement specifically to know when it comes to mental health and interfacing with Gen Z?
Don't turn the simplicity into a complexity.
Well, I tell you, are you a preacher?
Because it's not as deep as you think, right? So I think there's been some things for me with work, being a Gen Z, right, and working with them, it's just giving a space and place for them to be able to express themselves and come in, have a conversation, recognize what they need, and then building and fostering relationships that they feel comfortable with coming to you with those needs and wants, and you being able to just dialogue and being able to help them through it. I try to tell the staff team that I work with, I get to serve with every day, put the feelings not at the door, but in your back pocket and bring them in here, because there's no way to separate this personal versus professional.
Right.
Just not possible.
Right. Yeah.
So what I want us to do is have them in the back pocket. And if I see you struggling, because we have to be cognizant of that. So when I see you struggling, if I see you having a rough day, come in the office and have those conversations with me. Let's talk that through. I don't consider myself a boss. I don't consider myself a supervisor. I consider myself a coach. And we're going to coach through this. We're all on the same team. I happen to be the head coach, but I'm going to coach these players to be able to win the game.
Yeah.
And to do that, I have to focus on not just you being a BNA counselor or summer camp staff or aquatics. I got to focus on you being a person. And so to do that, it's just simple building connections, building a relationship, and giving that space to be able to be authentic.
Yeah.
Who they are.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Coach Seth? Got me all fired up over here. I'm about to put on helmet and run.
I wish he would put a helmet on and run through a doggone wall.
I think I still got me like 2-3 more plays left in
You
me.
don't think you do. I'm almost positive you don't.
Hey man, this is truly incredible conversation.
Yes.
Very important conversation. And by no means we make light of anything we said, but we have to be able to go through these things, these trials.
Everyone has mental health.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
And he got some answers for us, y'all. Like
right.
he's a
Right. Y'all dropped some knowledge here today. We're gonna have us a de-stress fest.
I love that idea.
I'm keeping that one right there.
That's good.
Karen, we got to get somebody at YUSA. We're gonna make it Y De-Stress Fest Week. Okay,
Right.
just like
I
that.
love that.
So Kaylee, we're gonna give you props, and that curriculum that you created.
And we not
get
gonna
that
make
thing.
it complicated. We're gonna keep it simple.
Yeah.
Giving
'Cause
people the opportunity to build relationships and de-stress.
Yeah.
I love it.
Now one time we had Healthy Kids Day, and we brought some pets out, and we brought some little chicks out, right? And we had the little babies petting them, and the baby was kind of holding the chick like this,
That baby squalls that chick.
We said, "Hey, whoa!" And it's like, no, just rub like, oh, okay. I thought we was about to lose.
The chick stretched out.
I thought we was about to lose the chick.
Thought that story was going in a whole different direction. Thank goodness.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. I didn't want to be the one the man bring his pets out and go back minus one.
Went home with 3.
Yeah. But I even think about that. I'm sorry, I'm like locked in on this de-stress fest because it's a really simple thing that can just bring some relief to folks, even if it's just for that moment.
I mean, it's just simple stuff like that, like a petting zoo or offering yoga or creating a space, like Seth was saying, for people to just have conversation. What if you just created, hey, this is the conversation space from this time to this time. We're gonna bring you all kinds of snacks. We're gonna put on good music. The only thing you do is just move about and talk to people.
There you go.
Right? De-stress. Right?
I like it.
I love it. Well, gosh, when is the time?
I know, right?
I just always get so wrapped up in it, especially these YUSA Innovation Series podcasts, because you guys bring us some amazing, amazing. And today is no different with Seth Foster, Kaylee Prewitt, and of course, our wonderful, wonderful friend with YUSA, Karen Friedman. Yes, I love it.
But before we sign off, I want to say thanks to our producer, Miss Lachey Leonard.
Hello.
Thank you, Lachey. Appreciate all that you do for us, sister.
And we want to thank our guests for sure. And we want to thank everyone for listening to the Cosmetic Podcast.
On this episode called YMCA USA Innovation Series.
A lot of letters.
That's a whole lot of
letters.
Talking about mental health and Gen Z.
Yes,
so
yes,
thank
yes.
you guys for joining us.
Subscribe and listen to us weekly.
And don't be shy, give us a 5-star review.
And as always,
Be dynamic
be phenomenal.
and be cosmetic.